This is how you actually enjoy reading again. The secret is to not finish books. Now, I know you're saying, what the hell? Not finish books? What are you even talking about? Dude, you have to finish the books. You spent money on it. I need to read more books. How many books did you read this year? I read 14 books. This is all nonsense. Not finishing books is the secret to enjoying reading again. This works for fiction books. If you don't enjoy a fiction book, just don't read it, obviously. But really, mainly, this is about nonfiction, right? What we're talking about is if you're reading a philosophy book, history book, whatever, don't finish it. Don't read it cover to cover.
Oh, but if you don't read Harry Potter cover to cover, if you skim and skip sections in Harry Potter, you won't understand the plot.
Yeah, obviously. You're not being a genius, okay? You're just being an idiot. The reason why we need to skip and not finish books, because 99% of books are terrible. They're written by the masses for the masses. They're not worth it. They're just filled with nonsense. People yapping from start to finish, providing 22,000 million examples for something that makes no sense. Most books are actually not worth reading. Most books will actually make you dumber if you read them. So we are not finishing the books that are terrible. And then even of the books that are good, most of the value is in the beginning. Let me move my cam here for you. Even of the books that are good, most of the value is in the beginning. So what most books do is they have one point. They say green is better than red. And then they give you a million examples of why green is better than red. But if you know the green is better than red, you don't need a million examples. So really, you can get most of the value from a book just in the beginning of it. You don't need to read the whole thing. This idea that you need to read it from start to finish is something that was told to you in school and you just took it for granted. And that's why you don't read anymore. You try to read these nonfiction books start to finish. Try to read every sentence. Just skip it, dude. We're not in school anymore. You're an adult. You can do what you want. That brings us to the next point. Even inside of the parts that are good of the book, you want to be skimming sections. You want to be skipping sections. What you're trying to do is take the meat and leave the bones. We're trying to get what is good, reject what is false, and add it to our knowledge repertoire, our library filled with the insights of the greatest minds of history. And so you can just skip all this stuff that's nonsense. One thing that's important is that if you don't find it interesting, you're not going to remember it anyways. So when you're reading good parts of a book, you might as well just skip and skim through until you find parts that are interesting. Because that's what you're going to remember. If you read stuff you're not interested in, you're not going to remember it. So yeah, that allows you to get 80% of the value with 20% of your time. You put in minimal efforts and you get maximal results. And let me move myself again. Sometimes you can be reading a good book, but you're reading it at the wrong time in your life. You haven't had the right experience to understand it. You're just not ready for it. And so skimming and skipping through the chapters and not finishing it cover to cover will allow you to know that. And then you can come back to it later, or maybe you're never going to be ready for it. That's fine. It's important to note that rereading good books is actually more valuable than just reading tons of new books. So you're skipping the bad books, skipping the sections you're not interested in. And now what we're doing is we're returning to the parts we are interested in the books we are interested in. Naval Ravikant said, I would rather read the 100 best books over and over until I absorb them, rather than reading all the books in the world. That's because your brain has finite space. If you take advice from all the books, it's all going to cancel to zero. One's going to tell you to go faster. One's going to tell you to go slower. One's going to tell you to take more risk. One's going to tell you to take less risk. What you need to do is filter through and find the best stuff and then absorb that until you fully understand it. And then another secret is just read what you love until you love to read. I don't care if it's manga, Harry Potter, children's books, color books, like, picture books, whatever. If you enjoy it, even if it's some weird website, if you know, you know. If you enjoy reading that and you're building a habit from reading that, then fine, that's good. What you're going to do is you're going to keep reading what you like, what you're interested in. Fiction, manga, graphic novels, sus websites, you freaking weirdos. And then eventually you're going to move on to something that you do like and something that's more interesting. And you're going to move on from fiction and you're going to go into science fiction or philosophy or history or historical fiction or whatever. And you'll start learning more stuff and expanding to your knowledge. So the most important thing is just to enjoy it. That's the number one most important thing. Read what you like, bro. Just read what you like. That's the secret to enjoying reading is reading what you like and skipping all the nonsense and skipping everything you're not interested in. It's actually not that complicated. Now, with all that said, the most important thing is to do what works for you. So I've just told you all the stuff that works for me. But like at the end of the day, all that matters is that you're reading. So just do whatever works for you. Like if you have to have Subway Surfers on the screen and drill music in one ear and classical music in the other, and drinking 2 lattes from Starbucks as you're reading, like whatever it takes, man, like whatever. So long as you get the reading done, that's all that matters. If you disagree with me, fair enough. Let's have a conversation in the comments. I really want to hear your opinion. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. I mean, I'm right. Like, what are you talking about? If you disagree, go away. You're still here and you want to get this sick hat? You want to get this fire hoodie? Oh, yes, sir. You can find that stuff on empires.clothing. It's the best clothing website on the internet. This is a limited time Imperator drop, so you won't be able to get this hat and that hoodie and this notebook here for long. You're still sticking around and you want a little something, 20% off your order. Just use this code. Look at this dude. Little bro can't even read. You're illiterate, bro.